Oh, hey. Fancy seeing you here. How are you guys doing? I hope that you're doing really well. I know that it's been a little bit. I've been on kind of a mini hiatus because of VidCon and because of being really busy, but within the next 2 weeks I will be on a schedule and I will be posting every Tuesday and Friday. It's gonna happen. If I say it in a video, it's bound to happen, right? Right. So this month for me was kind of a pitiful reading month, especially compared to my 17 or whatever books last month. This month was a little bit scarce. I read a total of 5 books. Count them 5. I was so busy and I just didn't have time to read. So that's what I'm putting it to. Sorry. But my TBR pile for this month is huge, so hopefully that will make up for it. The first book that I read this month, which I mentioned in the last video, was Attachments by Rowell, and I loved this book so much. It was so sweet, and I think Natasha from Tashopolis talked about it being like an ooey gooey feeling, and that was exactly what this book was. It was so adorable, and I could not with the feels. The characterization was wonderful. Each character was very different from anything I've read and not really fitting into tropes a lot. I mean, obviously characters will fit into tropes at some point in time, but Lincoln was kind of like the nerdy guy, but he had a lot of different sides to him, and they were just very multifaceted characters, which I thought was very interesting, and it was just wonderful. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars because the feels. The second book I read this month was The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, and this was amazing. So good. It's no secret that I absolutely adore the Throne of Glass series, and I just always want more of it, and this was amazing. Technically, it is a collection of novellas taking place before Throne of Glass takes place, and just kind of setting up the story, but honestly it read like a novel. It didn't read like 5 separate stories. There was a little bit of a gap of time in between each of them, but it read like one continuous story, and it gives you so much backstory on Selena that you don't have before you find out about people in her past that are mentioned but not really explained. So it helps out a lot. I recommend reading it probably after Throne of Glass, and then you kind of get more of a sense for where she is. You get to know Selena as a character in Throne of Glass and all the other characters, but it's better to have that in front of you and then move on to The Assassin's Blade. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because it was literally, it was just so good. I couldn't get over how good it was. The third book that I read this month, which I got by secretive means, was Air Fire, which is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and Air Fire was also absolutely freaking incredible. I can't even with words with these books. So good. I feel like I can't fully express my love for them because all I can say is that they're so good, but they really are. Selena and Dorian and Kale as characters are phenomenal and incredible, and they just are so good. So good. So Air Fire was just continuation on that. I can't really say a lot about it because lots of spoilers for the entire series if I was to say any of the plot points, even minor ones. But it just continues following Selena on her journey, and it was like you see new places and new things and new people, and it was just so good. It was so good. Air Fire obviously got a 5 out of 5 stars for me because it was amazing. The 4th book that I read this month was Ruin and Rising by Lee or Lay, don't know, Bardugo, something like that. I've heard it pronounced Lee and Lay, so I don't really know if that's the right pronunciation, sorry. Someone tell me in the comments, please, so that I don't screw her name up from now on. I thought that Ruin and Rising was an amazing end to this trilogy, and I love Alina as a character, and I felt like a lot of the characters grew a lot in this book because some of the characters that annoyed me in the second book were a lot better in this book, and it helped with the storyline. There were a lot of twists and turns, and it was just like all the emotions everywhere, but it was an incredible end to this trilogy and just blew me out of the water. This book got a 5 out of 5 stars for me because yes, so good. I don't know what I'm doing right now. The last book that I read on my Kindle, and it was To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I read it in one sitting on the plane to LA to VidCon, and I really enjoyed this book. Some of the parts fell a little flat for me, so it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this book blew my mind, like pretty much everything else I read this month. but it was really, really enjoyable and really good. I felt like the main character, Lara Jean, grew a lot in this book because she kind of had to find her own independence after her sister left for college, and she kind of had to find her own way, and then she had her whole like episode with things happening and letters being sent. It's on the back, so it's not a spoiler. And it just helped her grow as a person and as a character, and I really enjoyed it. That book got a 4 out of 5 stars for me, and it was very good. It was very enjoyable. I would recommend it. Now on to the TBR, which stands for to be read, because people have been asking me that, so now you know. The more you know. I'm gonna start off with 3 books that I either have already read this month or I'm currently reading, because it's kind of a little bit into July, so you know, that's what I do. The first book that I read this month was We Were Liars by Lockhart, and obviously I have note-taken this book. I wanted to do a review on it because it is something that is so widely discussed, and some people loved it and some people hated it, so I wanted to do a review on it with my thoughts, and that will be coming eventually sometime this month. We will see. The second book I read this month was Winger by Andrew Smith, and I really enjoyed this book for the most part. The third book that I am currently reading is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, and I know what you're thinking, Maureen, that was on your TBR last month, and it was, and I didn't read any of it. I'm like a third of the way through, so I believe that we will read. That was a reference. If you caught it, you probably have seen the World Cup commercial a lot. And this is my TBR for the rest of the month. It's really big because booktube-a-thon is coming. If you don't know what booktube-a-thon is, I will link Ariel's video talking about this year's booktube-a-thon down below, and you can go check it out. We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. The Darkest Minds and Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. The first 2 books in the Across the Universe trilogy by Beth Revis. The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alreisanes. Argo by Antonio Mendez and Matt Bagillo. And that was my tiny wrap up and massive TBR for you there. My TBR is really ambitious, and we'll see if I actually read any of these books this month or if I just decide to read other things. I'm sure the list will narrow and I will have a booktube-a-thon TBR around that time. Then you'll see more specifically what I will be reading that month, because I may change my mind on all of these. You never know. It's just, I go with the flow, you know? I just want to say a quick thing about VidCon, since my videos won't be up for a while because I am bad at editing on time. Thank you to anyone who said hi or took pictures with me at VidCon. It literally made my life so great. And if you did take pictures with me and didn't post them on Tumblr or Twitter or Instagram, didn't tag me in them, please do so I can see them, because I kind of want to make a giant collage and post it on my Twitter. You know, VidCon was just great. Everybody that I met, you guys were amazing and wonderful and just the best, and that was probably one of the best weeks of my life, to be honest. That is all I have for you right now. I hope that you have an incredible week, and I will see you next time. Bye. Eyes.